Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Salmony, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Everything FinTech, where we interview interesting people in the FinTech space with unique insights into this industry. So I'm very happy to see Richard Boutet with us today. He is the head of public affairs at Bridge, who was the first FinTech ever to get licensed in Europe. So he's really broken pioneering ground. And the topic I'd like to discuss with Richard is the connection between instant and open banking. Many people see those as two different things, but they are connected. So maybe, Richard, you could tell us a bit. Why do TPPs need instant?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak to the videos. I'm very thrilled to be a participant to that different videos you are doing about our activities as fintech in Europe. To come back to your question, yes, instant is definitely the motto of fintech right now in Europe, and especially because I would say that everything goes instant right now. We cannot imagine having a payment or an action or any kind of answer from anyone without an instant moment. So definitely, this is the way business is done right now. And as the payments are definitely digital, they are linked to instant moments, and that's why we are very excited about the proposal for the regulation for instant payment that was presented by the European Commission last November, because definitely we have to have a framework, a legal framework for the instant payment for TPP and other, of course, but for the TPP for the payments we are going to proceed.
Okay, that's before we get into the regulation of instant and what issues there may be there, just to understand better why you actually need instant. You could say if a payment is initiated through a TPP and the TPP sends a message to the merchant that the payment has been initiated, then surely everything is fine. Why do I need instant settlement and this new instant thing to do the TPP business?
Your example is very good because when you want to pay by instant, by credit transfer, as an example, when you are in a shop in any kind of commerce, you want to get your goods immediately. So that's why the merchant want to be sure that the payment will be proceed and that you will receive the money. If it is not, if the merchant is not sure, is not going to deliver the goods. So that's why the instantaneity of the payment is definitely key in order to develop and to increase the number of payment made by TTPP in Europe.
But just to dig down on that one just one more time, if the TPP, like Bridge, then sends a message to the merchant and says the payment has been sent, then surely it doesn't matter if it arrives 2 days later. They can already send the goods away because they already have the information from the TPP that the money's been sent. Why does it actually need to arrive instantly and be settled instantly?
Because the payment sent does not always mean that the payment will be received. Unfortunately, on a daily basis, we have a lot of problem with the banks telling that yes, the bank has received the message to receive because the message was sent and the money was sent, but for any reason, due to the bank, the money was not received in the bank, and so the money was not received by the merchant. So that's why it's very important for us to ensure that yes, the money is sent, yes, the money is received. So that means that the merchant can be paid. So that's why the question of definitely the instant moment is very important.
Okay, that makes sense. And in a world where we're increasingly instant, where I want to immediately download my video or
Yeah.
immediately get my concert tickets or whatever, this instant thing is just going to be super important. So thanks for explaining that. You mentioned that there was some issues with the regulation, or that there's a new instant regulation coming out, and you're not happy with everything that is planned. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yes, so we definitely first element, we definitely wanted to have a regulation to ensure that in every country in Europe we have exactly the same framework same legal framework for instant payment. So definitely it was needed, and the European Commission, of course, has understood that. With the proposal made by the Commission, we have especially two points that were pain point for us. The first one is the question about the verification of the confirmation, what we call the confirmation of payee. That means to ensure that we are going to ask the money for a payee with the right one. So that means to have a confirmation between and a verification between the IBAN and the name of the owner of the account. But that does not make sense for us TPP, because we issue payments only for people that we information that we already know. That means that we already know and we have already made the verification between the IBAN and the name. We are not going to issue a payment, initiation of payment for anyone that we don't know yet. So that's why it will take time, of course, to make the verifications. And if it takes times, it's exactly in opposition with instant payment, of course, because instant payment we speak about 1 or 2 or 3 seconds, which can be long, and verification means at least maybe 20, 30, 40 seconds, which is quite long. So definitely, I think that the European Commission was not aware of this point, and that's why the ETTPA has been able to provide elements, so how it works for TPP, how we already do all the operation in connection with verification between the IBAN and the name. So that's one definitely. So that was the first point in the
Sorry,
regulation.
maybe we could
Yes.
just drill down on
Yeah.
that one first before we go to the next one. That's super interesting because I totally recognize that in the UK, where they've had instant for many years,
Mm,
confirmation of payee initially prevented some fraud models, but is now completely outdated. It only corrects mistyping of IBANs,
mm,
and now the fraud has gone completely elsewhere, and that doesn't
mm,
seem to be reflected in the new European regulation at all, right? That authorized payment fraud is really the problem and not the confirmation of payee, which
mm,
won't solve anything. So that's a really good point, and that you've already done the verification as the TPP, so it's not even
mm.
necessary. So that's a super strong point that you're making. Thank you. But sorry, you were going to make another point about the regulation, which you found worrying.
Exactly, and it's about money, so it's always worrying. It's about the cost of the instant payment, because we definitely stand for the proposal of the Commission. In the proposal, there is the fact that the fee for the instant payment should not be higher than the fee there are currently for the traditional or current credit transfer, which makes sense, of course, because if you provide a new means of payment, but will be more expensive, it will be very complicated, of course, for any kind of user, merchant, or any consumer to adopt this means of payment. And we can see in Europe, where there are already a lot of instant payment made, that there is a direct relation between the level of fee and the level of use of credit of instant payment. So definitely we want to ensure that the fee for the instant payment will be not bigger, not higher than the traditional credit transfer. So which is very
Yes.
important, and definitely the Commission understand that.
Yeah, no, that makes super sense. I mean, I see that on my bank sometimes. I can
Mm.
tick a tick and say I want this sent via instant, and that'll cost me €1 extra. And I
Yeah,
never tick that, of course, because it's not my
e-
problem, right?
exactly.
You get no adoption that way. So we need to have the same price as normal. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly,
Which,
especially because sorry to interrupt you, but especially because somewhere in some countries we already use instant payment. So somewhere it works, of course, and the consumers and the companies are used to it, and we see, we can testify that it works, and for nothing. As an example, in France, most of the banks do not have any fee for instant payment. So that means that the banks can have instant payment for free.
Right. No, that makes sense. I mean, I would say in the B2B area, maybe that there is a business case for people to
Mm,
say, I pay extra
mm.
for instant, but in the consumer space, that makes no sense. Richard, you've been super interesting and super lucid. Thank you very much. So let's hope that the instant regulation, as it comes out, will take into account the points you've so excellently made, that we need better fraud protection and that we
Yeah,
need it free for consumers. That makes a lot of sense. You've been super interesting, Richard. Thank you very much. And I thank everybody who's watching. Please look at the other videos on our channel where you will find similarly interesting people making very interesting points in the fintech space. So I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you very much again, Richard. And thank you to everybody who's watching.
thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.